What would you say is the biggest issue facing your community?
Right now, it's basically all of our small town farmers getting pushed out for bigger corporations. I mean, there's 15, 20 farmers that I know personally that are now getting pushed out to do all these big 3,000 cow barns. These small town guys, that's all we've got. We had a 5-generation dairy farm. Milk prices dropped so hard that we had to sell all of our dairy cows. We lost our big income right there. Big corporation, they lose 30 cents a gallon. It's not a big deal, but down here, we lose 30 cents a gallon. That's feed for a winter. That's food on our tables.
What do you think could address this problem?
The only way we can really be able to do it is if there's any sort of funding we can get from the government. Help us out. We're struggling here.
What do you think about Trump?
Oh, I support Trump. He's bringing us back to where we should have been. All these immigration laws, I have nothing against when they come in legally, but when they're jumping borders, they're hurting us right there. I mean, they're taking jobs away from us.
What is the biggest issue in your community?
I would say probably just grocery prices. There's a lot of families in town where, some nights their kids don't even eat, so it's bad.
Do you have an idea of what could lower them?
People say the tariffs are like super high and that's what's causing it, but I think long term tariffs are a smart plan.
What do you think about Trump?
I think he's a great dude. Help getting illegals out and stuff. That's good. Mostly his one-liners to get a good laugh out of that.
Why would you say the Democratic Party doesn't represent you?
I feel like kind of crying about too much.
Well, I just feel like the Democrats, they like to help out the bigger and the richer. They're more worried about all of our richy rich and not the working class people. In the last 4 years when we had Biden in there, our national debt increased by so much, especially for that Ukraine war and all that. We've got U.S. vets in on the streets. We can't help them, but we can send billions over to Ukraine to help people that aren't even U.S. citizens.
The Democratic Party is just too giving when it comes to war. I think the country would be in a lot worse place if Kamala was our president right now.
This is the election that has the Republicans most worried. See, Miami hasn't had a Democratic mayor in almost 30 years, but that might be about to change. In Tuesday's election, Democrat Eileen Higgins led the race with nearly 36% of the vote, and another Democrat, Ken Russell, pulled about 18%, and that means over half of Miami's voters just supported Democratic candidates in a city that's long been considered a Republican stronghold. Now, because no one hit the 50% mark, the race heads to a runoff on December 9th between Eileen Higgins and Republican-backed Emilio Gonzalez, who is a DeSantis ally and former city manager. Now, if Higgins unites Russell's voters, Miami could officially flip blue for the very first time in decades, right in Ron DeSantis' own backyard. And here's why this is such a big deal. See, for years, Miami's large Cuban-American population leaned very Republican, but Donald Trump and MAGA seem to have changed that. See, when you start treating people with accents or brown skin like second-class citizens, even those who once voted for you, well, they notice. And the same thing happened in the 1960s. Republicans drove black voters away for generations with their racist Southern strategy. And now they're doing the same thing to Latino voters. Trump's ICE bounty plans, his rhetoric about immigrants, his public disdain for anyone who isn't white, native-born, or compliant, well, it's all coming back to haunt him because these voters are done being scapegoated. Now, if Elaine Higgins wins this runoff, it won't just be a local win. It'll be proof that the MAGA movement's fear-based politics are collapsing under their own hate. And history tells us one thing. Once voters leave a party over racism, they don't ever come back.
One of the things I find so fucking hilarious and sad about America is that Australia recently just had something go a little bit viral on TikTok where it's going to be a spare bedroom tax. They're going to propose to start taxing people if they have a spare bedroom to free up more supply and demand and blah, blah, blah. It's one of the dumbest things in the fucking world. I have seen so many comments from Americans commenting on that thing, being like, this is why you don't give up guns. Meanwhile, your entire country is slipping into a dictatorship and he's trying to fuck the Constitution completely dry, and you're like, oh, it's making America great again. Then how come in every statistical fucking category, America is getting worse under his leadership? Fucking tell me that. Tell me how that makes any sense. And you're telling us to raise arms against the government because they're going to put a tax on a fucking spare bedroom? Are you kidding me? You will not stand up to a fucking dictator who is I nearly said the word, who is just ripping apart your constitution and your country, the things that you fucking hold so dearly, and America's the greatest country in the fucking world. Are you fucking kidding me?
So let me get this straight. DeSantis, can spend $450 million a year on his little project, Alligator Alcatraz, right? And they can fast track this fucking thing and have it all of the permits and all the buildings up in less than 2 weeks so that they can start accepting immigrants in their facility. But yet, these guys can't seem to do a goddamn thing to help homeless people in their cities or their towns. And for some reason, they can't do anything to help the actual citizens of their cities and of their states. But yet, $450 million a year on some stupid place called Alligator Alcatraz, and they're already selling merch. What the fuck? So now they're selling merchandise and degrading undocumented immigrants and dehumanizing people. This is ridiculous, folks. $450 million a year on this one goddamn facility to build and house all of these people. But yet they don't have money for health care. We don't have money for fucking education. We don't have money to help poor and low-income people in this country. $450 million a year. And you know what? You look like assholes because guess what? You guys sit there and you complain about spending money on immigrants and undocumented immigrants. We hear it all the time. You think they're getting money off of the system, but yet you're still spending money on undocumented immigrants. You're still fucking spending it. You people are a joke. The Republican Party, the MAGA movement, is the most ridiculous thing to ever happen. Look at the bullshit. And the MAGA supporters will be sitting there loving this shit up. $450 million a year. I want you guys to all think about that. $450 million a year, but they can't help you. They can't help you. We have money for wars. We have money for prisons. We have money for internment camps, but they can't help you, the citizen. I am outraged at this, and you should be too. Like, share, follow for more. This is Grim with Get the Rant, and I'll see you all in the next video.
The problem we have in this country and with our government, and most of you will agree with me on this, is priorities. Where does the government priorities lie? Where? Our farmers are being kicked out by corporations, you know what I mean? Their farms are being bought. Like last month, I saw a video of a farmer who refused to sell his farm above the market price to these corporations. He decided not to. So, where does the government priorities lie? Tell me in the comment section.
I absolutely understand why there are people on the left who are having a hard time showing compassion and empathy towards anybody who voted for this current administration when it comes to the floodings in Texas that have taken 89 lives, and there are still children from Camp Mystic who are missing. And it is not because people on the left are happy or celebrating or rejoicing what has happened. It's quite the opposite. Okay, we tried to warn you. We took the time to educate you and warn you about gutting these very systems that are put in place to help minimize the catastrophic effects from natural disasters. And all you did was laugh, dehumanize, and demean us. Call us radical left lunatics. Tell us you do not care if we lived or died. Okay? You have said just a few months ago that the wildfires in California were God's will, and that was a result of evil people living in California. And now you want compassion and empathy. You have told us to not make this political. We're not making it political. It is political because those agencies are funded by the federal government. The federal government that you voted to gut. That you cheered on a man who got on stage with a chainsaw stating he was going to gut those very programs set in place to help us. So the left isn't happy about what is happening. It is the exact opposite. We did not want this to happen. And had one person's life been saved, ideally like everybody, I get that. But had just one life been saved by having everybody back in those positions that were gutted, I would be happy with my tax dollars going towards those programs. But no. You wouldn't vote for the educated black woman. Okay, she had a funny laugh. You voted for the person who gave you a free range to hate on anybody who doesn't look like you or think like you. So yes, there are people on the left who are having a hard time expressing empathy and compassion for anybody who voted for these things to happen. I absolutely understand why people are having a hard time right now.
Good news, folks! Looks like Louisiana might be starting to have some MAGA regret. All 4 state constitutional amendments designed to reflect Project 2025 and proposed by MAGA Governor Jeff Landry were shot down. Donald Trump won Louisiana in 2024 with 60% of the vote. Yet all the amendments failed to pass in the recent election, with over 60% voting no. In 2024, Donald Trump captured 66% of the vote in Ascension Parish, but in yesterday's election, they overwhelmingly voted no for MAGA Governor Jeff Landry's amendments. And in the town of Sorrento, Democrats were neck and neck for city council with Republicans. And even with many parishes only having these 4 amendments on the ballot, voter turnout was 9% higher than expected at 21%. Looks like Jeff Landry's not going to be able to make himself a mini dictator. Let's see what he had to say. The primary goal of Amendment 2 was to create a better opportunity for our citizens, to work towards inviting people into our state rather than have them leave. Unfortunately, Soros and the far-left liberals poured millions into Louisiana with propaganda and outright lies about Amendment 2? Yeah, okay, Jeff. You keep telling yourself that. We all know how radical left Louisiana is. Although we are disappointed in tonight's results, we do not see this as a failure. We realize how hard positive change can be to implement in a state that is conditioned for failure. I'm sorry, as the governor, are you sure you want to go with that response, Jeff? Uh-oh, too late. Looks like people don't really like being called failures. Wow, what a passive-aggressive and manipulative response. Proud of Louisianans for making their voices heard, despite what the state leader says. We the people disagree with you, Mr. Governor. You do not get to talk to us as if we are wayward children. The comments of a rich man snarling at the people he feels are beneath them. Meanwhile, last week in Colorado, Bernie Sanders and AOC turned out an estimated 34,000 people for their Fighting Oligarchy tour. Sounds to me like people are starting to recognize MAGA for what it is. Nothing more than a grift to enrich our ruling elites at the expense of working class Americans. Stay rebellious, resist fascism, and solidarity.
12-year-old girl who was sexually assaulted by her father and as a result became pregnant. Under your interpretation of 94004, she would be forced to carry her pregnancy to term, correct?
I would say under the policy choice the legislature made in 94004 that would be correct.
Okay, so in that case, a child would be forced to deliver a baby. Let me ask you another question. How about a woman who is a college freshman here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison? If she is sexually assaulted and is charged as a third-degree sexual assault, which under the statute, under 940-225 sub 3A, that would be intercourse without consent. Okay. If she became pregnant as a result of the sexual assault, it would be illegal for her to obtain an abortion, correct?
It would be illegal for a doctor to provide an abortion to her in the state of Wisconsin, correct.
And were she to obtain an abortion after quickening, whatever that means, the penalty under 94004 would be 15 years. It's a Class E felony, correct?
Are you talking about after quickening under 94004 sub 2 sub A?
Yes.
I believe that's how it's defined, yes.
Okay.
But it would not be, she would not be subject to that penalty.
I understand. Right. If her is charged under 940.225 sub 3 sub A, which is a third-degree sexual, he would be facing a 10-year maximum imprisonment because that would be a Class G felony. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what the particular penalty associated with that crime is.
You can take my word for it. In that case, the penalty for aborting after a sexual assault would be more severe than the penalty for the sexual assault. And the local elected officials, amici, cite an article from the Journal of the American Medical Association that estimates that 65,000 pregnancies have been caused by rape in the 14 states that outlawed abortion after Dobbs. So the scenario is far from speculative. I want to discuss one more scenario with you, and that concerns the health of the mother. The term pre-prom, do you know what that means? Preterm, premature rupture of membrane. Again, one of the amici, the ACOG amici, brought up the case of Joseli Barnica, who went into premature labor at 17 weeks. That is, her water broke. There was a fetal heartbeat, but her fetus was not yet viable. This happened in Texas. She suffered an infection that killed her because medical providers were unwilling or unable to give her the health care that she needed. And all she could do for 40 hours was pray that someone would help her so she could go home to her young child. And she died. That is a scenario that could easily, and perhaps has easily, played out here in Wisconsin under your interpretation of 940.04, couldn't it?
I'm not sure, Justice Karofsky. I'm not a doctor, and I would say that the interpretation of 940.04 that we're positing is the legislature's judgment as to what the law should be. I would like to circle back, though.
Hold on, I'm not done.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone else other than pregnant people who are denied medical care under the law. Can you?
I certainly think that, for example, the FDA regulates particular types of medical treatment that are provided to people. I don't think that the notion of the government restricting a medical procedure is new, but I also think that there's a long-established history in this state of prohibiting abortion.
Mr. Tomey, and I fear that what you are asking this court to do is to sign the death warrants of women and children and pregnant people in this state, because under your interpretation, they could all be denied life-saving medical care while the medical professionals who are charged with taking care of them are forced to sit idly by. This is the world gone mad. I don't understand how that is not the crime here.
What I really hate about MAGA hypocrisy is their stance on pro-life. Pro-life, pro-life, pro-life. What happens with mass shootings in our schools? Those kids are being shot in our schools, but they don't want to do a damn thing about it. You know what I mean? They say maybe it's a price to pay to protect our Second Amendment. I don't know. Give me your thoughts in the comment section. I might be wrong.
I'm a former card-carrying racist. I speak the language. I know the handshake. I was at the inner circle at one point in my life. I'm not proud of that at all. I'm not going to hide from it. I'm not going to run from it. And I'll be open and transparent about it. But I'll be damned if I've evolved and grown this much as a human being, trying to be better and love my fellow humans, especially my fellow Americans, to have someone like you come along and try to undo it. I know you have presidential aspirations. Everybody knows. But you're literally trying to whitewash. And your family immigrated here. You're trying to whitewash history in Florida. I don't understand it. I absolutely disagree with you on this. This is wrong, dude. You're a father. And I'm white, and I'm telling you this. People aren't stupid, Ronnie. You're literally trying to rewrite the history books at a state level. Who's going to trust you to run this country? On this single issue alone, I can't stand with you. I don't know how else to make it change my mind about you. You don't want to talk about the 1920 massacre down there where between 35 and 50 black Americans were killed, only 2 whites. A whole community was looted, stolen from, destroyed. Innocent people were murdered because one man dared to exercise his right to vote. Why would you run from that? Why would you not teach that in schools and show how dangerous racism can be, how deadly, and that in an instant it can spark and people die? They're just erased. They're gone. Why are you so scared of the lesson that we can learn and move forward from? What are you hiding? Most of white America doesn't know on June 1st, 1921, the Black Wall Street Massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma, took the lives of 300 Americans. Black Americans, innocent. 40 blocks were destroyed. 10,000 people were displaced. Thousands injured. They looted their homes. They took everything from them. They wouldn't let them get their money out of their banks because they had no proof of identity. It burned in a fire. Why would you not want to talk about that? We enslaved people for 250 years. Black Americans, they were property, they were owned. Do you know what they did with their babies on some plantations? They fed them to alligators. If they were the wrong gender or they didn't live up to the eye test, it was fun to them. Men, women, and children were fed to alligators, fed to dogs. I read cases where they were fed to bears for sport. They aborted babies without anesthesia. They castrated men for punishment and fun. They robbed them of every bit of identity and heritage they have. And then when they turned these enslaved Black Americans free, it took them 100 more years for federal law to even recognize them as somewhat equal. How in the hell do you think that's okay? I know you'll never sit down and have a conversation with me. I'm a nobody. And I also know you'd probably die a death by 1,000 cuts because you're a politician and I'm a big history geek. I hope you get some get right there, Ron, because you might have just killed your career. Have a great day.
Never been super political. I wasn't raised super political. I wasn't raised super woke. My father is the opposite of woke. But everything that I've learned as an adult is on my own accord because I'm a grown man and I pay attention to the news. You have to stay informed about a little bit of everything so you'll know what the fuck is going on around you and know your surroundings and know for your fucking children or the next generations. It's not that fucking hard. It's actually simple. But with this past 8 months, what has gone on, if you just look at one executive order, if you just look at one piece of the news, if you look at anything that happened in the past 8 months or since November when we started warning y'all about Project 2025, you will start to go crazy. At this point, there's no way you sit on this app and just be kikiing and laughing every day and selling little TikTok shop stuff without ever making any video explaining to your people, because there's more people, it's so many people that don't know what's going on because a lot of y'all are ignoring it and you're running from it. It's right in front of your face every single day. If you don't know anything about what's going on at this point, you're running from it. That shit not cool. I see military people trying to bite their tongue on this app because they have to. Some of y'all don't have to. Even the military people that have to bite their tongue on this app, they're giving y'all hints. They telling y'all it's getting crazy. I don't care if you Christian. I don't care if you white, black, Hispanic. I don't care if you Republican because MAGA is not Republican. I don't care if you Democratic, leftist, independent. It don't matter. This will be on all of our hands if we don't step up. If y'all have seen one bit of legislation or of these executive orders, if you've seen since the past 8 months and not even a whole year, in the past 8 months what this man has done when it comes down to cleaning out the government, making us vulnerable for attacks. I'm talking about firing thousands of people. We told y'all that Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and Larry Ellison and them was technocrats. We told y'all that they was going to attack the American people. We told y'all that it would be an attack on the American citizens. We told y'all there would be an attack on the left. We told y'all that they were going to start unaliving these Hispanic folks. They got a spot called Alligator Auschwitz. Before that, they were sending people to Seacot, where these people were told that they would never come home. Luckily, Abrego Garcia came home. And now they're shipping them to some random African country. Are y'all not keeping up? It's so much news. They flood you with so much news that every day you forget about the last piece of news. I remember everything. I'm following all of these cases still. There's like 28 people that just went into Israel and got kidnapped. And the American government is not even helping. Meanwhile, they running into apartment buildings in Chicago and doing ICE raids on black people born in this country. That place, Alligator Auschwitz, yeah, that place, over 1,200 Hispanic people missing and they floating up on the shores. I'm going to keep saying it. In the South, he's put that chip in these boys. He's put that power back, that battery in them boys' backs. They swinging black people from trees in the South and they not even doing investigations. Y'all not going to stop me from talking when it get like this, man. What are y'all doing? We could go every executive order, whereas he even put a executive order through to roll back something from the 60s that was for segregated facilities so he could segregate the facilities and government facilities so it'd be segregated. That was in March. Like, what? I'm not going to forget the things from February, March, April, May, just because something new is happening every single day. I'm not going to forget these things. The FBI, the DEA, ATF, they running through your cities. They're putting people in camps, man. Every time I look back in history, I'm like, how did it get this bad and nobody spoke up? Y'all don't care. It's like y'all asking for it. I don't care what your deal is. I came on this app to laugh and joke and make people laugh and kiki. I want to be a stand-up comedian, bro. This is out of hand. You have to be a human. You have to. It's not woke. You're not being super political. You're talking about basic human rights. The right to live. It's like I'm going crazy. I don't see how y'all, why? Why are y'all not saying shit? Like, I'm still trying to make videos in between my videos to make y'all laugh and get through this time. I'm telling my story times. I'm doing what I got to do because my ultimate goal is to be an entertainer. But god damn. At what point do y'all say anything?
Professionals have determined that Trump speaks at a fourth grade level. No wonder many Republicans consider him a genius. Them tariffs is gonna make my economy gooder. That's what they say. But whenever they come into effect, they are the first on the chopping board. Them tariffs gonna make my farm gooder. But when they come, their farms are the first to collapse. Them FEMA cuts will make my life gooder. But when floods hit, when hurricanes hit, whatever, they are the first on the chopping board. Them ice is gonna make my community gooder. But when highest rates hit, construction halts, name them. So what is going in this country, and what Republicans are trying to do into this country is destroy everything that it has been built by our ancestors, our founding fathers, for the past 250 years. Trump has never built anything in his lifetime. And Trump's claiming that Trump is a good politician, it's the same as claiming that Trump is a good businessman, which the two names cannot, the two words can never occur in the same sentence. Trump and a good businessman, they can never align. Trump and a good politician, they can never align. The same applies for the Republican senators, governors, DeSantis, Greg Abbott, name them. They can never occur in the same sentence. A good Republican politician, they can never. That's why the red states are focused on building prisons for the immigrants who have no criminal records. The red states are focused on giving tax cut or tax breaks to the billionaires when the real common people who need government assistance don't get it. So at the beginning of this video, I asked a question. Where does the Republican government priorities lie? Where? With the people, according to the Constitution, or the billionaires? Because I believe that the government should use their powers to promote general welfare. It is in the Constitution. But our government is doing the opposite of that. That's why I believe that Trump should be impeached. And most Americans agree with me on that. So what's happening in this country is not an education, but a declaration that a Republican president should never be allowed near the presidency in the future and indefinitely. Talk blue, watch blue, listen blue, and vote blue. And to everyone standing against the Maga agenda, against the Trump administration, fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. So until the next video, thank you for your attention to this matter.